Once you try this simple chocolate pudding recipe, you will never eat pudding out of a box ever again. Hi, welcome to my eclectic channel. My name is Agnes and I make videos for fun. And today it's a cooking video. I'm not a chef, but this is a nice and simple little snack. Let's get to it. So we'll need a few simple ingredients. None of what I make is ever costly or complicated. So you'll need milk, some sugar, cornstarch, a bit of salt, cocoa powder, 2 eggs, and some kind of flavoring of vanilla extract, or I've seen in the recipe they say chocolate extract will work as well. I'm putting the list of ingredients in the description. So what you want to do is to measure out your cornstarch, 2 tablespoons, set that aside. And then measure out your milk, 2 cups. Measure out your powders. So from memory I'm not going to be able to do it, but there goes your cocoa, your sugar, and your salt in a medium-sized pot. And then you want a bowl, and the bowl needs to be, both the pot and the bowl need to be the same size, because they're going to eventually have all of the ingredients and then we transverse. Next, what we want to do is to, this is the hardest part of this process. We need the egg yolks, so you're going to have to separate that out. I'm going to save the egg whites in my fridge and have some other use for it. Maybe if you're making an omelette, you can add those in. Whisk the eggs until they get a little fluffy and white. Then add the cornstarch. And some of the milk. So in the recipe, they're quite precise. They say about a 1/4 cup. The point is just enough to make this a little liquid. Right now it's a little tough. So some of the milk. If you put too much, it's okay. If it's still too tough, not liquid enough, add a bit more. All right. We're done with that one. We set aside. Then you want to put the rest of the milk in the saucepan with the powders. And then take that to the stove. Heat this to medium heat and stir up until it's mixed. We're looking to bring this to just when it begins to boil. So we'll be watching out for bubbles to form on the sides. Cocoa powder is a little challenging to mix in. One trick which I was not able to use because I have some of my sugar that fully crystallized, so it's in blocks. But if you're working with nice and dry sugar and it's all in powder form, it's best to mix it with the cocoa powder first and then add the milk. It will mix a little better. But eventually the cocoa powder gets moist and this will be all nice and incorporated. And I'm hoping that the heat will melt my sugar blocks. I don't recommend walking away from this. Whenever you're working with milk and heating it up, it can very quickly get out of the pot, and we do want to catch it before that happens. The French have an expression to talk about people who have a volatile character, like people who get off easily. You know, the kind of people where you have to walk on the eggshells around them because you never know how they will react. Such a person is called a person who is soupe au lait. Soupe au lait is milk soup, and it refers to this fact that when you're making milk soup, it very quickly boils over. So now mine is getting nice and incorporated, and we're looking for those bubbles. Another thing is, this is a recipe where you want everything to be nice and incorporated, so we are constantly stirring and whipping. It's a simple recipe, and it's not super labor intensive. I mean, I'm not working out here. But still, you gotta be with it, watch it, and be involved. So once it's all nice and mixed, just watch it. I don't cover it. If you're a maverick, you can. It will heat up more quickly, but it doesn't take that long. So for me, I'm doing this in an open pot. All right, so this is what we're looking for. It's happening over here, but soon it will happen all around the pot. I'm starting to get some boiling happening around the edges of the pot. Now you can see it. So this is the time when you want to turn this off. See, it was starting to rise. And what we're going to do next is we are going to put what's in the pot is going to go into the mix we prepared earlier. And we want to do this gradually because we don't want the egg to cook and solidify. So slow at first. And whisk this nicely. And keep whisking and pouring slowly. Once you got most of it in, you're fine for the rest. Give it a good whisk. And we're going to put this back in the pot. My pot is now dirty, so I'm going to rinse it before I bring it back. I just rinsed the outside. I just didn't want that to burn. Inside, we're going to put things back anyway. So put the heat back on, medium, and pour the mix in. At this point is a good time to add our last ingredient. We forgot about it, the flavoring, in my case, vanilla extract. Did I eyeball it? Yeah. All right, and then we want to continue to stir the pot. That's the story of this life. And this needs to gel. So whenever you're working with cornstarch gets activated when you get to a higher heat. So we need to bring this back to a boil. And when we do that, eventually we're going to see this becoming thicker, lumpier and thicker. I can already see it happening, but you do want to give this a chance to come back to a boil. Yeah, it is. Plop, plop. And look at how thick this is now. That's the cornstarch at work. Plop, plop. So I'm going to give this some more, stir it some more. And when I'm happy with the consistency, which is right about now, it happens pretty quickly. This is ready. So I am going to turn off the heat. This is done. Look at how creamy this is. I really want to eat it. But we're not ready. I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the video. This is actually a dessert that you need to prepare ahead of time. I want this for my late afternoon snack, and it is now mid-afternoon. Oh, so beautiful, so creamy. So now we need to put this into containers, and it will need to cool off. So I know I said containers. If I were Martha Stewart, that's what I would do, but I'll show you the lazy way or the family way. That's how my mom used to do it. You take a single big container. Mine will not be, I'm not sure if it's going to be big enough. Well, if it's not, the rest of it will go in a smaller container. What's left in the pot and the spoon, if you're a mom, you know what to do. This is an important step. The top can form kind of a crust, and that's not what we want. So to avoid this, before you close this up, you want to put some plastic wrap and put it right on top. So it needs to touch the surface. So have this plastic wrap rest on the surface of the pudding. Be a little careful with this step, the pudding is hot. But it's not, you know, so hot that it will melt your plastic wrap or anything or burn your fingers. I'm just letting you know that it's a little warm. So let it rest like this at room temperature, and when it's cooled down some, you can put the lid on it, put it in the fridge, and you want this to be completely chilled before enjoying. Time to enjoy it. It's got this really rich texture. Not too sweet, just generally chocolatey. And this is the good thing about making desserts yourself, is you're fully in control in what goes into them. So you can control, let's say, the sugar. You don't want to go too low, otherwise it no longer tastes good. Here, I followed the recipe. I was probably a little short on the sugar. It tastes just fine. The other thing you don't get out of the box is the texture. Simply can't do it. You do want to use whole milk. I should have mentioned that. It's in the ingredients in the description. So there you have it, rich, chocolatey chocolate pudding. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like.